The two Necron Overlords within the Necrons Codex have had a new lease of life since the balanced data slate updates and the meta watch and all that stuff start of June. So in this video we're going to be exploring how the My Will Be Done ability has been effective and what buffs and new combinations can we be doing. So stay tuned, let's get into it. Right, so just to refresh ourselves, the Overlord and the Overlord with the Translocation Shroud have both got the ability My Will Be Done. Now before the update it would just simply any battle tactic stratagem on the unit will be put down to 0 command points, it will be free of charge. They have since changed that with the balanced data slate. Now My Will Be Done is a reduction of CP costage, or CP cost, so if it was 1 CP it will be free, if it was 2 CP it will be 1 CP and so on, but it is now not restricted to battle tactic stratagems. You can use it on any stratagem, any detachment, including the core rulebook as well, so that's what we're going to be checking out today. Now in fact if you want to know where you find this, you'll find this in the rules, no it was the balanced data slate. That's where the change was. I'll put it on the screen for you now so that you can actually see it. But let's take a look at some of these options. So from the Awakened Dynasty, the Index Dynasty if you like, there's a few standouts here. I'm not going to go through every single one because that's not the point of this video. There's some standouts that we should probably discuss. The first one is the Protocol of Sunstorm. Now the Protocol of Sunstorm, giving assault to the entire unit, is really good on your shooty stuff, like your Necron Immortals, like your Necron Warriors, because they're going to be able to move, advance, and still fire. So that could get their OC onto the objectives, just into the right locations. Maybe it's for engaging on all fronts and so on. So good for secondary scoring too. Don't forget, if you've got the Translocation Shrouded Overlord, he's got the auto advance 6 inches, so that's going to be good for him. And if you've got the standard Overlord, well, you're just going to get to re-roll it anyway. The advanced roll that is, because of the rest of the stratagem. So you can be doing that for completely free of charge, 0 command points. Obviously the My Will Be Done ability is once per battle round though, so don't forget. You can't keep doing it and doing it. You've also got the Protocol of Undying Legions. I think this one's a big one. It's a big one because, well, you've got the Resurrection Orb on the Overlord, and that happens at the end of the phase. So if you combine the Undying Legion stratagem, which is D3 plus 1 wounds returned on a reanimation roll, and then you've got a D6 from your Resurrection Orb. I mean, you're looking at an average of 3 Lich Guard coming back, or 6 to 7 Immortals coming back as an average. You could, of course, roll really high and get a 3 plus 1 plus 6. So having that for completely free of charge is good. Now, I want to just point this one out. You cannot use the Protocol of Eternal Revenant. I nearly said Guardian. It's Revenant now, isn't it? You can't be using this one. And the reason why is once your Necron Overlord, let's say your Necron Overlord dies, and he goes out of the unit because he's been destroyed, right? He's now not on the battlefield. You can't be using his ability, he's not on the battlefield. Now you can still use the stratagem because the stratagem allows you to use it even though he's been destroyed, but you can't be using the My Will Be Done ability in this situation. And the same would apply to if you've lost a Cryptek in the unit. That Cryptek is no longer part of the unit, he's been destroyed, so therefore the My Will Be Done ability doesn't apply to him because he's not in the unit anymore. He's been destroyed and he's been taken away from the unit. As soon as he's been brought back to life, he does then go back to the bodyguard unit, or the attached unit, he does go back. But at that very moment where he's been destroyed, he's out of the unit momentarily, so that's why you can't use that one. But you can just use it as normal and pay the CP for it, but not in terms of My Will Be Done. Moving on to the Canoptic Court, there's not really much to talk about. There is one, the Solar Pulse stratagem. I think that's decent. It's going to aid not only your Overlord's units, but other units that are going to be firing at the enemy unit that's on the objective, taking away cover so you are retaining some AP. If you've got your Locust Heavy Destroyers with the Exterminator weapons, maybe you've still got the -1 AP. Maybe it's your Immortals with the Ghost Blasters, they're going to keep their AP. So it's something to use, and it's for free if you're using My Will Be Done. Of course there are other options, again we'll go through all of them anyway, but you might want to save it for certain things, but if you've got nothing to save it for, you may as well use Solar Pulse and it's free. That's all there really is from the Canoptic Court. I mean there was the, what's that other one called, the Is it Revenge of the Cryptek? Curse of the Cryptek. Now there is also Curse of the Cryptek, but again, as soon as you lose that Cryptek model, he's not a part of the unit. So very similar to the Eternal Revenant stratagem. He's no longer part of the unit, so therefore, yeah, can't be using it. Now there's quite a lot in the Obeisance Phalanx detachment, because of course that's the Overlord detachment, so there's quite a few to discuss. I'll pick out a few for you in this video. Sentinels of Eternity I think is decent for your Lich Guard. I mean, it won't work on your Triumph Praetorians because the Overlords can't lead Triumph Praetorians, but if you're leading a Lich Guard unit, you can fight on death for free. Could be decent. Territorial Obsession is the one I quite like as well, though. Again, it's Lich Guard, not the Tryout units. Just to get a bit more OC on the unit. So they're all going to have OC3 rather than OC2. That can make a big difference for your primaries. Maybe it's for your secondaries and so on. From the Hypercrypt, there's also some decent ones, you know. There's some really decent options in the Hypercrypt, mainly relating to the monolith, because the stratagems relate to the monolith. You've got the Hyperphasic Recoil, or Recall even, in your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase. As soon as you lose a model in your Overlord's unit, you normally would spend 2 CP to do this, but it will go down to 1 CP because of Mine Will Be Done, and so on. And as soon as you lose a model, you can whip them up off the battlefield and put them within 6 inches of your monolith. So you're doing some movement for just 1 CP there rather than 2. If you've got a really well positioned monolith, this could be really key. Sticking with the monolith, you've also got the Dimensional Corridor. Again, normally 2 CP. Drop it down to 1 CP with Mine Will Be Done. And you can charge out of the Eternity Gate. This time you're going to be doing that with Lich Guard. You're not doing that with Immortals, you're not doing that with Warriors. You can do, it's not worth doing it. You may as well do it with the Lich Guard because they can actually fight decently. We've also got the Reanimation Crypt, so you can do reanimation protocols within strategic reserves. You need to target a Warlord. So you've got a Warlord, doesn't matter what unit he's in, Lich Guard, Warriors, Immortals, it doesn't really matter here at this point. But you target your Warlord, your Overlord, and then normally for 1 CP, it'll be completely free. And then any units that are within strategic reserves are now going to get reanimation protocols. So any that you've hyperphased off that are slightly injured perhaps, reanimation, not a problem, and for free. Cosmic Precision, everybody's Hypercrypt Legion favourite in terms of stratagems anyway. Cosmic Precision, you can do this for free. I think that's pretty key, especially if you've got like a Chronomancer in the unit as well. And you go hyperphasing in with the Cosmic Precision ability, so you're effectively deep striking in 3 inches away. Immortals are going to go bang, 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 bang. The Chronomancer then makes you move 5 inches, all for free. I think that one's a really strong one. Then we come on to the core rule stuff. There's a few in the core rules that are decent. I mean, of course, you've got the Command Reroll, but that was Battle Tactic already, so we don't need to really discuss that. That's not really new. The Counter-Offensive Stratagem is something to consider because it was 2 CP, it's now 1. It's where you're interrupting the fight phases, or the fights within the fight phase. It's normally 2 CP, you normally have to go, it's going to sting in terms of my CP count, but I need to do it. If it's just 1 CP and you've got a unit of Lich Guard, it can happen there, it can happen. We've got Insane Bravery, that could be completely free. How many times does it happen where you've got to take a battle shock and you've got a really important objective and you just mess up battle shock test and you've just lost all your OC and you're not scoring? How many times does that happen? Quite often for me. So having Insane Bravery and potentially for free so you don't have to roll the battle shock test is good. If you've got a CP you may as well burn it anyway, but yeah, for free it's good, it's good. Fight Overwatch. Everyone loves an Overwatch. You guys know I love an Overwatch. If you watch my battle reports, I love an Overwatch. Completely free. However, I'll say this, now, I don't normally Overwatch with Immortals, even with the Sustain Hits Tesla weapon. It's not really the option for me. I mean, the Doomstalkers are the option. Maybe Locust Heavies with the Exterminator weapons are a good option. Immortals can be an option, but I think there's better options. But if it's free, Rapid Ingress. Rapid Ingress is very usable just to get... I mean, let's see, you can get a load of Necron Warriors into the battlefield on your opponent's movement phase. Get them onto, not necessarily an objective, because they won't have Deep Strike unless you're playing a certain detachment. But get them on and ready, so that you can move into certain positions. But the main one, though, is Lich Guard. Lich Guard, they've got the infantry keyword, so you rapid ingress them the side of the board, have a little ruin in the way, Then when it's our turn, we just move through the room because we're infantry. We've got a simpler charge rather than a 9-inch restriction. You're just moving straight in, making a fight, getting into the fight phase, making a charge is what I meant to say. But yeah, rapid ingress, that could be for completely free of charge. And the final one I wanted to mention is Heroic Intervention. This was 2 CP before the update. It's gone down to 1 CP. And with the Overlord's ability, it can be for free. So going from 2 CP to nothing is quite cool. And again, it's only going to really relate to Lich Guard. They're the only ones that can fight. But you could throw away a load of warriors. Maybe you've got a brick of 20 warriors. You can throw them in. And sometimes it just gets you some extra punches in the fight phase. But sometimes it also gets you toes on objectives. A lot of OC onto an objective because you've done a charge move in your opponent's charge phase. Right, so that is the Overlord changes with My Will Be Done and some of the combinations you can do. If I've missed any, let me know down in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe on your exits, and if you've missed this video, check it out now.